Hello, my name is Marlene Weisenbeck. I'm a Franciscan sister of Perpetual Adoration and the convener of the La Crosse Task Force to End Modern Slavery. As the second largest criminal activity in the world, we encounter human trafficking wherever we are, globally and locally. As you view these stories, I ask you to gaze upon the person. Consider the burden that she or he is carrying. Contemplate each situation, and then imitate others who are helping to move them out toward healing and wholeness. Gaze. Rest your eyes on what you see and hear. Experience this visual evidence of persons who are captured and terrorized through the strategies that brought them into the life of modern slavery. Though your eyes and thoughts may be drawn elsewhere, bring them back to the person that is the focus of each story. Consider. Allow your mind to study and understand the horrific situations that brought these individuals into their captivity. Consider the humiliation to which victims are submitted. Deepen your knowledge of the events that made them vulnerable to recruitment into this life. Do you sense a challenge or a call? Contemplate. Be present to what you see and hear. Listen with your inner senses to the meaning of the story. Listen to the cries of the enslaved without judgment. Then embrace an unceasing prayer for all those involved and all those who work to bring freedom to those in this underground economy of evil. Finally, imitate. All prayer moves us toward making efforts to create relationships of wholeness worthy of our God-given human dignity. Join in some way with others in bringing hope and freedom to the suffering world. Thank you.
Well, as those of you know, I am transgender, so there is a part of me that I have left behind, the male part of me, who I call Ashton. I'm going to speak in third person because I don't go by Ashton no more, and he's long gone. He's my past life. So, Ashton, for him, he had a good life. His family took him on vacations. His mother worked for the school system. His dad worked for Mill Clinic, and his dad was a minister. And he had a very, very good life until about age 10. He was touched at a young age by the neighbors, his neighbor friend's mother, and that became a whole big ordeal. And he made it through elementary school, but he couldn't go anywhere or do anything because his parents were scared that it would happen again, And so they weren't allowed to have sleepovers, Also, the woman that, I might speak for myself again, this is kind of hard. The woman that touched me, when I was 10, she flipped it around and told them that I touched her son. And I was only 10 years old. And so the law enforcement got into it, and my brother, one of my older brothers, he was my lawyer. His name was Arsenio. And he really was there for me at this point in time. He was my favorite brother, you know, like I couldn't have contact with this kid. And this kid was my childhood friend, and he was only 1 year younger than me, you know.
The one that they accused you of doing something with?
Yes.
Okay.
So during that time, it was about a couple of years, and we're still going through it. It was like about a 2-3 year process. My brother was a lawyer, and at this time, I didn't know my brother was that way, you know. And he used that as me being vulnerable in that situation to molest me and have sex with me and rape me.
Your own brother?
Yes, my own brother. And he, till this day, we don't have no contact. We actually just recently had contact about a couple weeks ago. I messaged him and I told him that I forgive him, you know. Through that time, there's been other couple incidences that I have been either drugged, you know. At the age of 15, got touched by my friend's dad. Well, especially at a young age, like after all this, I deal with low self-esteem because like I lost my virginity to a woman not by choice, and I lost my virginity to a man not by choice, and I was already confused in who I was. I knew I was different because I liked it the same sex, you know.
And how old were you at this time?
I was about, you know what, I kind of always knew.
Okay.
You know, but when I kind of, like, it was probably high school, and everyone was telling me that, oh, you're gay, and I'm like, what's gay? My parents were really sheltered, especially since my dad was a minister, and so I didn't really understand what that meant, you know, until like I was like, you know, I wasn't, after that, like when I found out what it was, I kind of fully embraced it, just not to my family, because my family was really shameful towards some stuff like that. And people, I did get made fun of, I did get bullied in high school. I did start I did end up, my grades were good. My grades were good all until I came out, because a lot of the bullying and stuff, and I started skipping school, smoking weed, you know. I got kicked out of high school, and I'm from Rochester, Minnesota.
Okay.
And I got kicked out of high school there, and I went to alternative school where there was just smoking weed, and I went to Spring Valley, Minnesota with my friends, and for the weekend. This is when I was just starting to be rebellious against my parents and just like take money out of my mom's purse. There's one thing I did that I still remember till this day that it hurts my heart. I took my parents' first wedding when they were married, and I pawned it for money to go get weed, and it still haunts me till this day. And I was in Spring Valley, and I was drinking just to like hide the pain, because during this time I was still 15. My brother was still touching me and molesting me and raping me every chance he got. He wanted a relationship with me. He wanted me as his partner.
Your own brother?
My own brother. And their dad, I was really drunk and I vomited everywhere and stuff, and their dad, I was laying on the couch and I remember their dad, my friend's dad, I'm sorry that I'm all over.
That's okay.
But my friend's dad gave me this drink, and like I couldn't feel my body after this, you know, and so he starts to unzip my pants and pull my pants down, and I remember someone comes in like, what the fuck are you doing? And then he's like, nothing, just checking if he's asleep. So then after that, I think the guy knew what he was doing.
Right.
And so he left, and they both left, and I remember passing out. That's all I remember, you know, but like...
So you were being abused by a number of different individuals throughout your teens.
Yes. There's another one that I remembered. And this is during my drinking and drugging, because I am in recovery, and I'm a recovering alcoholic addict.
Good for you.
I have 6 months sober, actually, yesterday.
That's awesome.
And
very good.
Yeah, Thank you. I really appreciate that. But there was, when I was living in Rochester, there's a couple of friends that I went to, and they had this gay friend downstairs in their downstairs part of their apartment, and I forget his name, I think it was like Patrick or something, and like we used to party there, and he always had a thing for me, and I just wasn't really feeling him because I had a boyfriend at the time, and like I just, he said we started to run out of alcohol, and like as an addict now we just want more and more and
Right.
more, and so he gave me these pills, and he was like, it's just alcohol in a pill, and I took like 4 of them at a time. And next thing you know, I don't remember. Like I passed out and I woke up and I was completely naked. You know, and laying on laying over the bed while he's in me. You know, that's what I came to while he was in me, and I freaked out. You know, and the things that he gave me were Ambien.
Okay. Yeah.
And my friends had left me there, and went back to their apartment. And just left me there for him, and I never went back, and I never went back to their friends. And I told my mother, and she's like, well, you should have never been there in the first place. My mom and my dad aren't very, well, mostly my mother is not really remorseful.
Supportive at all. Well, I'm so sorry that you had to go through that. So your teenage years were just filled with different abuse and confusion, and it had to have been very confusing when your own brother wants a relationship with you.
Yeah, and it confused me, you know, like even to now how it affected before I even transitioned, like I've only been trans for a year.
Okay.
And it's been the most happiest time in my life. But like during the time as a gay man, I struggle with that because I wonder if I'm this way because of him, or am I this way because of I was born this way, you know?
Right.
Well, I've come to terms, and then like sometimes I do go back and forth, but I come to terms right now that I am Maya, and Ashton has this. I like to say Ashton is part of my past life. He's not here no more. I haven't had any issues about going to the bathroom. You know?
Okay.
I haven't, but there's like, I have like my anxiety when I go to churches. Like, I'm very religious. I am a Christian, but when I go to churches, I feel like I'm gonna get kicked out of church. Or like just my parents, you know, they still call me by my birth name, which I don't. And like even walking down the street, like people like, what is that, or what are you? And I just tell them I'm an experience, you know. Like I don't even use trans. I just say I'm a woman, you know.
Right.
Like I've come because of so much hatred towards me, you know. Like even before I was trans, there was a lot of hatred, and there was a lot of due to drugging and drinking, there was a lot of abuse. But there was one big thing during my abuse that kept me sober for 1.5 years, and I did relapse, and now I'm back on track I relapsed for like 3 weeks, and I'm back on track. And I didn't identify as male or female. I was just like gender neutral, and I dress predominantly like a male, but I still liked men. And I went to Faribault, and Faribault is just a whole, I can't even go there. I can't even go through that town after this because it's such a traumatic event, you know. And like people were making me prostitute for my body to get them drugs. And
in Faribault?
Yes, in Faribault, Minnesota. And I end up getting drugs, and like one day I stood up for myself, and I was like, I'm done. I can't do this, you know, because this woman that I called mother, because me and my mother were in good terms, because I was out there on methamphetamines for a good year, actually a good 2 years. I was out there on meth, people pleaser. You know, I put other people's needs before I do. It's just how I did. It's how I am. I was getting drugs, sell my body to get them drugs because this person who I called mother wanted me to, and she would guilt trip me into selling my body. She was like, I guess she was like.
She was your pimp?
Yeah, basically.
Okay. Did she have other people she was trafficking as well, or was it just you at this time?
There were some other people, you know.
Okay.
And my boyfriend at the time was that's how he introduced me, and that's how I was introduced to her, is through my boyfriend at the time. He's in prison right now, but he's my ex, thank God. But she would, her cousin, there would be other girls, you know, some underage girls.
So why Faribault? Why from Rochester to Faribault? Why didn't you come up to the cities?
I would travel to the cities too.
Okay.
Like it was just I would travel around a lot of like Austin, Minnesota. If you've heard of Austin,
sure, yeah.
Albert Lee.
Oh, yeah.
I would go to
I-90.
Stewartville.
Yeah.
I would go to
down by the border. Yeah.
Lacrosse. Sometimes I go to Iowa. I would go to many other places just to exploit, and like I would have a ride there and back, and I would have protection. And that's all they promise is like if you have to pay for your protection, you know, and make this money and give you drugs and stuff.
Now, was this woman arranging for you to go to all these places?
Yes.
Okay. So she was basically putting ads out, arranging for you to be trafficked at these different places. Can I ask you a question? I'm a survivor myself, so I can only imagine how you were treated in the room with your Johns. Now, did your tricks or Johns know that you were transgender all the time, or sometimes, or how did that?
A lot of the times they knew.
Okay. And they specifically requested you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. For sure.
Were you safe? Did you feel safe in those rooms with them, or was there abuse? What did that look like for you? Do you feel that it was more violent because you were transgender, or not necessarily, or?
I think as a woman figure in general, it was more violent because a lot of either I was a sissy faggot or I was a gorgeous woman, and either way, calling me gorgeous or calling me sissy faggot, they still abused me.
Sure.
You know? Just to give power over themselves, like hit me with a sock full of soap.
Oh, yeah.
Or choke me, you know, or just like belittle me, like piss on me, or just like put dog collars and lock me in closets, and I wouldn't even have to have sex. That's what they do. And I would tell this woman, and like, because she's supposed to be my protection,
right? And
she'd be like, "Well, they didn't kill you, right?" You know. And I would tell my mom. I told my mom all of this, and she's like, "Well, that's what you get for putting yourself in those predicaments."
Wow.
You know.
So your parents weren't helping you in any ways at that point?
Well, my dad, I love my dad with all my heart. They're separated now. He's been there through all the treatments. I've been to 14 treatments in my whole life, from 17 to 23.
Well, yeah.
And this is my last one. I just graduated treatment today.
Good for you. Congratulations.
And
you're done.
I am done. I'm really done. And I manage a sober house.
Very good. Very good. That is awesome. That is awesome, because you know a lot of the folks that come through the sober house, those of us that are addicts and alcoholics, there's very few people that can escape addiction without getting involved in prostitution.
It's really hard to separate the two, because like it's prostitution, like since I'm so used to it, because I started like at 17, 16, you know, because like the young, especially if you're young, if you're a young gay boy or a young trans woman, they love the young people. It's disgusting how they want the younger, you know, underage, as in what I'm saying, you know. And like I used to get into bars and clubs because I was underage, you know, not supposed to, but people would get me in and then have sex with me or have me dance through the poles, you know. And like me and my sister, we used to travel together and do it. We wouldn't have sex with each other, but we have money for
Sure.
money, you know.
Tag team.
Yeah, and she's a trigger for me. You know, it's right till this day. It's hard for me not to go back out there and make that fast money, and not. But now I have a normal job. I work at Psycho Susie's, but it's really hard for me like to be there because like I was like in the back of my head, just like I can
Yes.
get money so quick
Right.
just by walking outside,
Right.
posting an ad or
You could come back with several $100s in just a short amount of time.
Exactly.
But we know what goes along with that.
Exactly my point. Like with fast money, there's fast consequences.
Yes.
And they're not good consequences. They're very horrible. There's this one time when this woman made me really get sober. It was in Faribault. I was hanging with a whole bunch of dope guys, and they're all Nazis.
Oh.
And the dope ran out, and I wouldn't sell my body. I was like, I'm done. I'm sick and tired of this. Like, I'm exhausted. I've slept with I used to slept with 10 to 15 men or women a day, you know.
That's a lot.
And my body was exhausted. I haven't taken a shower in a couple days because I was just having sex after sex after sex. And by the grace of God, I have had an STD, but it was last December.
You could just take medication for that.
Yeah, and during that time I never had an STD, and they locked me in a room full of feces, dog feces, and put a collar on me for 3 days. And if I tried to leave, they had a rolling pin and brass knuckles with knives on it. And it was 6 of them, and they did jump me at one point, and I was so scared. I was stripped down to my underwear. And that's all I was wearing was my underwear. And I had to go down the rain gutter to escape and run for my life. And this is during the winter time, and I was all in my underwear. And I called my dad, and he came and picked me up. And he brought me to detox. And that's when I was like, I can't go back. I can't go back out there. I told them, I was like, please just put me in jail, put me somewhere. Because if I go back out there, I'm going to go back to the old habits I was doing of prostituting, drinking, and drugging. You know, meth is a very sexual drug. It really is. You know, along with GHB, those two. Yes, it wasn't even date rape for me anymore. My body was getting so used to GHB that if someone tried to drug me with it, it wouldn't work because I've gotten so it was a tolerance to it, you know, and it's really. I'm really blessed to be here and to be alive, and only reason why I'm here is just to spread the word, how dangerous this is, and I wanted to grow up really fast, and now I wish I can go back and get all that time I had back, because each time I had sex with a different John or tricks, there was abuse in it, constantly. Those stories weren't even the worst stories I've experienced, you know. There's so much I've experienced at a young age, you know, that I have to be on meds for, you know, that it's hard. I have to deal with the therapy for, you know. Sometimes, through all the abuse I went through, sometimes I feel some days are better than others, but some days I feel like I'm eternal. I feel like I'm gonna be fucked up in the head forever, because you can't unsee those things,
right?
You know, or you can't undo those things either. I'll tell them, don't do it. Just don't. You might think this is the easiest way, but there's the only outcome there is for a fast life is a fast death. You know, I'm honestly lucky enough to be here. I count every day as a blessing. Like I said, some days are better than others, and some days are worse than others, you know. But my best day sober and not prostituting is... My worst day sober and not prostituting is better than my best day high and prostituting. Love yourself. Love yourself. All the things I've done drugging and drinking and having sex with men for money as a trans woman, just love yourself. When and I want them to know that right now, I do love myself now. I really do.
Good.
And this feeling, it feels good to feel wanted. And that's why it's so, and they get that validation from people that you think care about you, but they're only paying for you and treating you like a piece of meat. It's false validation, and it's false self-love, you know. But once you overcome that and find validation in positive ways and find self-love yourself and actually love yourself, that you don't need a man or a woman or money to validate you,